So where I left off in the last video, I was about to disassemble these parts and deburr all the holes that I had drilled. So I've gone ahead and done that. Now I'm at the point in the plans where if I follow the plans sequentially, I'll need to go ahead and prime these parts and rivet them together. And I don't want to do that yet. I want to wait until I've got a lot more stuff to prime before I mix up a whole batch of primer and get the spray gun dirty and everything. So I've decided to jump ahead a little bit and go ahead and assemble this thing. It shouldn't take too long. I'll need to match drill these holes and then clamp the thing down to keep it flat and go ahead and rivet it all together. It's this flange bearing, and it's sandwiched between these two brackets. And what this part does, what this is it's the pivot point that goes right on the back of the rear spar here. It'll be the pivot point. The elevator control horns will be right here, and it'll be the pivot point for that. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this thing.
So first thing, Cleco it together as usual with these powder-coated steel parts. It's kind of hard to get the 1/8 Clecos in the holes without scraping some of the powder coating off, but I get them in there. And here I clamp it to this extra back rivet plate that I have. You're supposed to clamp it to something flat when you rivet it. I'm going ahead and clamping it to something flat while I'm match drilling it as well. Didn't seem like it could hurt. And you do that to keep the two halves of the bracket coplanar. I'm using my electric drill here because I'm going through steel and I want to be able to turn the drill a little bit more slowly. And it's just a matter of drilling and moving clamps and Clecos out of the way so that you have room to drill. So here I'm drilling the bolt holes. Then I go ahead and mark everything so I can get it back together in the same orientation. Then I take it apart and deburr. So there I was using compressed air, and now I'm just wiping everything down to make sure I get the flange on the flange bearing nice and clean, and the inside surfaces of the brackets themselves, just so everything is nice and clean and goes together nice and tight before I Cleco it, clamp it back down to this flat plate, and start setting up the squeezer. Make sure I get the right rivets there. So setting up the squeezer, and after a while I realized it doesn't seem to be working very well. I realized, duh, I turned off my compressor upstairs in the garage. So take care of that, and now we can actually rivet. So I end up doing, I think, the first 4 of the 6 rivets, and by the time I get down to the bottom, the clamps are starting to get in the way, and it's already pretty solid at that point anyway. So I think I do the last rivet without it clamped down. That's about it. And now, for some reason, having a hard time getting the rest of the Sharpie wiped off of that part. But anyway.
All right, so that's that. That was a nice little evening project. Took probably about an hour at the most. A lot of that was fiddling around. I clamped it to that back rivet plate that I have because the plans specifically tell you, clamp it down to something flat when you're riveting it to hold the flanges square with each other. I just clamped it down when I was drilling it as well. Didn't seem like that could hurt. And I also marked it with a Sharpie so that I, when I took it apart, I'd get it back in exactly the same orientation, just in case. And yeah, that was it. So this will eventually bolt on right like that.